Good evening, good evening. We're going to give everybody a couple of minutes to come on in. Um, so just hang tight for a minute. Hello, Marcia.
Hello.
I'm giving people a minute or two to come on in. Can I actually ask a favor of you, and can I make you co-host so that as people come in, once I start, you can admit them?
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Okay. So I have to watch the
Yep.
thing.
It should pop up for you.
All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Looks like Karen's on.
Karen is on. There are a couple people on.
Okay. Oh yeah, there's other people on. Okay.
I give them people one more minute to roll in. Now I've got a couple of people who are shooting me messages, so give them a second to get in here. Come on in. So welcome everyone. Glad we were able to do a second night of this webinar. So last night, things happen. Everything happens for a reason. It was kind of funny. I didn't record last night, and we're going to make sure it records tonight. And I got off and said, good, I get another excuse to do the second night in a row of this. So I'm glad you guys are able to come in. Everything always happens for a reason. So we can let it frustrate us, or we can roll with the punches and find the blessing in it. So we're here to find the blessing in it. So we are going to get started. I'm going to hit record so that I have a backup recording. Last night, that was my problem. I did not have a backup recording. We're going to hit record. We're going to get going. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Energetic Eating webinar. My name is Leslie Zwick, for those of you who don't know me, and I am incredibly excited to be here and to be sharing this program with you that I've been putting together over the last really 6 months, but over the last 3 years, this has been coming into development. And so I've been beta testing this with a handful of people, and now I'm rolling it out as a full-fledged program, offering it to everyone and hopefully getting it far and wide. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself, how I got here, and how I came up with this program and what I do. So first of all, I am a holistic performance coach. So what in the world does that mean? That basically means that I help people remove and clear out old trapped energies, old trapped emotions, old trapped limiting beliefs, all the old stuff that we've been holding back, that's been keeping us held back and in this stuck place, helping them clear that stuff out so that you can move forward and create the life that you've been dreaming of. Everything that we want in this world, we are entitled to have, and we can bring it to ourselves. And it's all sorts of old energies and old stories and old thought processes that keep us stuck. And I started in this journey of coaching almost 9 years ago now. And I started in the weight loss and wellness world. But I started with my own personal journey, which is how this all came about. Everything that I have done over the last 9 years, everything that I've created, this program has all been things that has come through my own personal journey, which has been really exciting. So 9 years ago, I hit my rock bottom. I was miserable. I was 75 pounds overweight. I was in major financial debt. Spiritually, I was a mess. Emotionally, I was a mess. Everything in my world felt like it was falling apart. And got to the point where I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And I knew I had to make a change. And it actually at first started with my physical health. And I went on a program to help me lose the weight, which I did. I lost 75 pounds in the course of 7 months, and it was amazing. And I helped over the last 9 years, or almost 9 years, I've helped a whole lot of people do the same thing. And I totally changed my life. And I kept this weight off for a long time, right? For close to 7 years or so, 6.5 years, I kept all of it off. And through that time, not only was I working on the tactical, practical pieces of weight loss, but I was learning to combine the energetic, the emotional pieces, the intuitive pieces of my life that have always been there since I was a little kid, but I had sort of suppressed and pushed aside, I started to integrate those into my tactical practical tools that I had been learning and working on. And through the mindset things that I was working on, I'm certified in a variety of energy-based tools. I'm certified in emotion code, body code, belief code, cellular alignment technique, and also in another program called Habit Finder, which is all about mental cognitive thought processes. So I started combining all of these different pieces together to help myself have better success. We all want to keep moving forward. I had the weight loss success, which was fantastic, but I wanted to get unstuck in the other places that I was still stuck. That was a great start for me. And a few years ago, as with everything, the world started going, for a lot of people, the world started going a little crazy. And what did that do for me? That sparked something in me that started bringing up some old triggers. When I lost my weight originally, I was very much in the tactical, practical world. I was following a program that's all based in science. It works. It's an amazing program based in science. And I was following those tactical, practical things. I was working on my mindset. I was doing some of this stuff, but really I wasn't touching in on the energetic piece. I was smushing down the energetic piece. I was smushing down the old limiting beliefs that had kept me in this yo-yo cycle of weight loss and weight struggles for my entire life. But I didn't really understand that I was doing that. And about 3 years ago, a variety of things started falling into my lap and starting allowing me to begin to work on the emotional pieces. And as I started working on the emotional pieces and started clearing those emotional pieces, more and more and more triggers started coming up, which actually is a really good thing. When we want to change, when we want to transform, every time we're triggered, it's an opportunity for us to grow and for us to learn. But one of the things that I started to realize is that I had lost the physical weight, but I had not lost the energetic weight. And when we continue to hold on to that energetic weight, we are going to pull that physical weight back in every single time. I've watched it happen over and over and over again. And over the last 9 years, as I helped a whole lot of people lose a lot of weight, I also saw a whole lot of people start to struggle the same way I did. And the weight started coming back on. For me, it was in the last few years as life has gotten crazy. The weight has just started coming back on. It hasn't mattered what I eat, what I don't eat, how much I exercise, what I don't, how much exercise I don't do, how much water I drink, all the things that I know that I've learned that's based in science stopped working. And I know when things that make sense don't work, there's a deeper level and there's an energetic piece. And I started to combine those two pieces. And I started to combine the tactical, practical pieces along with clearing the energetic pieces. And that was how energetic eating was born. I started doing it for myself. I started working on this with clients and started noticing how shifts were happening and how we were able to clear out blocks that was pulling us into the emotional eating and into the old habits. So as I go through tonight, I'm going to share with you some things about the diet trap. I'm going to share with you what is energetic eating, how does it work, and what is it going to look like for you, and then what are some opportunities. There is going to be an opportunity for a Q&A closer to the end, and please feel free to ask questions. Don't be shy, because if you're thinking it, I can guarantee somebody else is thinking it, and there are going to be people watching the recording that aren't going to have the opportunity to ask the questions here. So you're also doing them a favor by asking questions that I can guarantee that they are thinking of as well. So please don't be shy when we open up for questions. So I'm going to start to dive in a little bit here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the diet trap, right? Many of us have fallen into the diet trap. Now, the first thing I want to talk about also that's important to know with energetic eating, this is not necessarily being designed to be a weight loss program. This is for everybody. This is a lifestyle way to live. So maybe you have weight to lose. Maybe you're like me and you've struggled with it and you've put some of that weight back on, or maybe you've never lost it and you're looking for a way to lose weight. And that's great. This is going to help with this. But even if for someone who is at a healthy weight, energetic eating is going to help clear out a whole lot of other things that we're going to talk about what the benefits are as we get further on. But so many people that come to me have fallen into this diet trap. They live in this diet trap. And it was me. This was part of my story, which is why I want to start with this. So we know studies have shown that 85% of the people that go on a quote unquote diet put their weight back on within 2 years. And not only do they usually put their weight back on, but they usually put a lot more back on. It comes barreling back on, right? This cycle is often due to restrictive eating plans that are not sustainable for long term, but it also comes in to the energetic pieces of it. Emotional eating affects up to 75% of overeaters, stress, sadness, boredom, all the different things, right? We eat when we're happy, we eat when we're sad, we eat when we're angry, we eat when we're frustrated, fill in the blank, we eat when we're whatever. At least that was what my world looked like. And we also know that prolonged dieting can slow down our metabolism. It gets us into old routines, old, habits, and the body literally slows down and it makes it much harder to lose weight and becomes this diet trap, right? Around and around and around in circles because we're not giving our bodies really what it needs all the time, right? And so we fall into this trap. We fall into the trap of willpower, thrill power, skill power, around and around in circles. But what I like to teach actually is a concept called shift, which some of you have taken my shift program before. And this is going to be part of the energetic eating full concept. But shift is a whole piece, right? First, you have to seek change. S is seek change. H is then have a plan. I is initiate action. S is face your fears, and T is then to transform, right? Most of us, though, when we fall into this diet trap, live in the SHI over and over and over again. We seek change. We're not happy with where we are. We come up with this next great plan. We have a plan. We initiate action. And then we have some success. And then we fall back and we go around and around and around and around in circles. And what the energetic eating program is going to help every one of us do is hit that F part, facing those underlying fears, facing those underlying trapped emotions, facing those underlying limiting beliefs, those things so that we can actually finally transform and have the life and live the life that we want to live and get ourselves out of this diet trap. So what is energetic eating? Energetic eating blends energy clearing, nutrition, and mindset shifts all together, right? It creates a whole new plan where it's not just about restrictive eating. We need to understand that food is more than calories. It's energy that resonates inside of our bodies. Yes, food is calories, and you could set a plan where you have a certain number of calories in a day, but not all calories are created equal, and not all calories are created equal for me and for you. Something that is healthy for me may not resonate in your body in the same way. Something that we would think of, green beans, might be really good for my body, but might not on an energetic level be good for your body. And so those are things that we start to look at, because as we pull in those pieces and we eat things that are energetically in alignment with our bodies know exactly how to deal with it and what to do. There is no such thing as a good food or a bad food. And I really like to stress this. No matter where you are in your plan, there's no such thing as a good food or a bad food. Food is food. Food is energy. It's what do you do with it? It's how does your body respond to it, right? In my energetic eating plan, chocolate is actually a highly beneficial food for me. Does it mean it's highly beneficial for me to only eat chocolate? Absolutely not, right? That would not be in alignment with my other health goals. But chocolate is in alignment with me for other things. My body actually likes it, right? So whereas we start thinking about things like that, we start falling into traps sometime of thinking this food is quote unquote bad for me. Not necessarily. I have a client who's been in one of my clients in the beta testing program with this. And she's a type 2 diabetic. And she has in her head this thought pattern that carbs are bad, right? That she cannot have carbs, that they will elevate her blood sugars. Carbs are bad. Like that is, and we've worked very, very hard to clear this, right? And when I tested her out and gave her food list, some carbs for her were not a positive thing for her, right? But some of them were actually really good for her body, were highly beneficial. Quinoa was highly beneficial. Spelt was highly beneficial, right? There were several others, but those two off the top of my head, I can remember off of her list. And we were on a session one week and we were going through it, and her blood sugars, she just couldn't get them to come down. And so I said, tell me what you've been eating. She went through what she's been eating, and I was looking at her list and I said, you need some of these complex carbs in your meals. And she argued with me about it, and I said, put them in. And she went that afternoon and had quinoa in her lunch, and her blood sugar dropped to a normal level, to exactly where it should be. She was blown away. I wasn't so surprised because I could see by her list of foods that her body actually wanted that. Her body actually needed that. So we get old stories in our heads of what's good for us and what's bad for us. But those stories are based off of somebody else's story. Sometimes it's real. And so what we're going to do, what we do in energetic eating is figure out what foods are actually good for you, which ones are actually not so much in alignment for you. And you have that list. and we can start to build off of that. And then you can make choices of your foods based off of those pieces. So when we get, oh, my slide doesn't want to, there we go. Okay, so how does energetic eating work? Energetic eating is a combination, like I said, of energy clearing, nutritional alignment, and mindset shifts. So everybody's plan in energetic eating is custom. Right? I have a packet here, 21 pages list of foods that I go through with each person, and I quantum muscle test out for each person what foods are in alignment with their body, right? In this list, you have it as avoid, neutral, or beneficial, right? So a food isn't not necessarily yes or no for you. It could fall into that. It could be beneficial, it could be a neutral, or it could be this is not good for you right now. And one of the cool things is as you go through this and your body starts to heal, things shift in and out. Patterns come in and out. Things that are in avoids don't necessarily always stay avoid, and things can move around, which is really cool. So we create this nutritional program that is based off of you, off of what your body wants. And I teach you not only how to just follow the list, right, but how to tap into your own body, listen to your own body to understand our bodies are talking to us all the time. So helping us tap into and say, is this really what I want right now? Does this really resonate? Even if it's something is beneficial, is it beneficial for me right now in the moment? Sometimes it is, and sometimes even if it's on your beneficial list, it's not. And so I teach you how to tap into your body, check into that, listen, and start to eat in alignment with that. Right? We do energy clearings. We are throughout the program clearing out those old trapped energies, specifically around old eating habits, old thought processes, right? I can tell you, I have been doing this for myself for a while, but really I kicked it back up a couple of weeks ago. I woke up a few weeks ago so swollen, I couldn't get my rings on. My feet hurt every morning when I woke up. My ankles were so swollen, they looked like I had swallowed, baseballs sitting in my ankles. It was awful. I felt miserable. I felt like, with every step, I felt like I was walking in bricks. And I, sat down and said to myself, well, this is crazy. I know exactly what to do. I teach people how to do this. I was not following what I teach people to do. So I pulled my list back out because I had my list. I pulled my list back out. I retested some things to make sure. And I committed to following my list and seeing what happened over a few days. This was a Thursday. By Sunday, so in 4 days, I was down 6 pounds, right? It was all inflammation. My ankles were no longer swollen. My hands were no longer swollen. My rings can go on and off easily again. Immediately, within just a few days, it was that inflammation came right off of me because I started following energetically what my body wanted me to eat. And yes, like I said, chocolate is on my beneficial list. So it wasn't like I was only eating, broccoli and grilled chicken, right? I was eating everything. I was eating, 3 full meals a day, three small snacks, right? I was eating to eat to nourish my body, but I was giving my body exactly what it needed in that time. And then I actually ran a little experiment with myself. Right after that, after I was doing this, was my son's birthday, and my daughter made a birthday cake. And I said, let's play a little game. I wanted to test all this. What happens when I bring stuff back in that's not on my list? And so I intentionally started eating things that were not on my list, and within just a few days, the inflammation started to come back. The brain fog started to come back. The sluggishness started to come back. It was almost immediate because my body was like, what are you doing? You know what to do and you know how to do it. And I had just proven it to myself. And so immediately, after a few days of that and sort of testing it, I went right back on my plan and boom, that stuff all disappeared right away again. Because as soon as we get back into energetic alignment with our foods and with our thoughts and with our actions, we can start to feel better. One of the other coolest things for me was over Thanksgiving, I was home at my mom's house. That is ground zero for me for all of the things, all of the old thought processes, all the old bad habits, all of the negative self-talk, all of the stuff that I grew up with struggling with my weight stems from growing up there. Nothing against my mom. I have no blame. I have no shame. But it's just the reality of that's where all that stuff came from. And in past times, when I would go home, right, stressful things would happen. And it was a little stressful over Thanksgiving. When you have the whole family together, it gets a little stressful. Other stressful times, I would find myself standing in front of the pantry or in front of the refrigerator or in front of something eating the junk food. My mother has this thing about stocking her pantry with junk food for all of the grandchildren to come and eat. And normally I would find myself standing in front of that pantry going after that stuff. And the night before we left, and it had been a little bit of a stressful week, the night before we left, I was sitting downstairs doing some stuff, and I thought to myself, I realized I did not once, the entire time that I was there, walk upstairs and open the pantry out of stress, out of frustration, out of anger. I was, without even thinking, I was spot on with eating in alignment with what I wanted. Because not that things weren't stressful, but I had other tools that I was using in order to manage that. And for the last few months, I've been clearing out those old energies. I've been clearing out those old thought processes. I've been working on those pieces to set myself up for the fact that I wasn't triggered by it in the same way that I had been triggered in the past. So if you have old triggers, if you have old things, that doesn't have to be your story forever. And that's what's super cool. And that's a piece of the energetic eating is we can clear those stories. They don't have to be the way we've been living. It does not have to continue to be our future. Our past does not have to be our future. So what are some of the benefits of energetic eating? So improve physical energy and vitality, enhanced emotional balance, brain fog starts to disappear. You just feel better about yourself. Sustainable weight management. Like I said, this is not necessarily a weight loss program for somebody. If they want it to be, we can absolutely create it that way. But this is really being created to get your body into balance and to just feel good and to really tap into who am I in here? Who is the truest, most amazing version of me that's here, that's hiding behind all of the old trapped energies, all the old thought processes, all the old things that are just keeping us stuck, right? We're trying to connect into that. And when we connect into that, that's when the weight starts to come off. As I said before, when we lose weight physically, if we don't clear out that old stuff, those old emotions, those old thought processes, all those old pieces still carry a weight with them, and it's going to bring back the physical. We continue to carry that physical until we clear out the energetic. And so this allows us to clear out that energetic. Our bodies do not want to hold extra weight. They don't. They're designed to be light and airy and move around and do, and it wants to be released. But we have to give it that, put it into alignment in order to do that. And through this also, you get a stronger connection to your own intuition. You really begin to listen and understand in ways that you can't when you're carrying this around. What is my body really telling me? Every time we feel an ache and a pain is not bad. Pain is a signal saying, wake up, hello, there's something here that can be changed. There's something here that can be let go of. There's something here that I don't need anymore, and I'm ready to release. As I said before, every time we're triggered in something, it's an opportunity to transform. It's an opportunity to shift our life and to grow. And so when we put all of this together, this was designed in an eating plan, but this is so much more than an eating plan. When you start to bring this all together, your entire life can start to change because you're going to change your energy. You're going to change your mindset. You're going to change how you deal with stress and how you deal with all the things that come into your world. And you're going to bring your body back into balance. So I just threw a whole lot of information at you guys, a lot of stuff, things that I would teach normally over weeks of teaching. And this is just a little glimpse of what's going to come in the actual energetic eating program. The program starts as an 8-week long program. And there are a variety of different ways to do it. And within that, there's going to be teachings and there's going to be video lessons and there's going to be group coaching or there's going to be coaching, whether you're in group coaching or one-on-one coaching. There's going to be a lot of different opportunities. But before I get into exactly what that's going to look like, I want to open up for questions for what questions do you have about energetic eating? What questions do you have that can pertain to any of what I talked about or anything that I may not have said that sparked a question that you want to hear. So I'm going to be quiet and let you guys you can just open up. I can't see everybody who's on here right now. So just feel free to open up and ask.
I have a question. When you go through the list,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand it gives you foods to avoid and foods that are neutral and foods that are good for you. Mm-hmm. What if there's foods that are good for you and you just don't like them?
Then you don't eat them.
Okay.
This is a huge list of foods. 21 pages worth of foods. I promise you, there will be things on there that you aren't your taste. There are plenty of things on here that aren't my taste. You just don't eat them. So it's a really expansive list to give those people who have an expansive palate. You're not going to feel deprived ever. The other cool thing is if there's something that's not on this list that you eat all the time, maybe there's a protein bar that you like, or there's a specific brand of something. I have one client who loves Skinny Pop popcorn. This is like, that's her thing. And it's now on the list. But when she was one of my beta testers, and it wasn't originally on the list. So we added it onto the list, right? So if you're doing it, you can come to me and say, hey, Leslie, I have these X number of things, and we just put them onto your list. And that's easy enough to do. And if it's something that, like our Skinny Pop popcorn was not on the list, but that was one that's like, okay, that can go onto everybody's list because a lot of people eat that, right? So the list will continue to expand as well as we do this more and more and people bring things up. So yeah, cool. That was a good question, Marcia. Who else has questions?
I have a question. I wanted to ask, I started off being intolerant to dairy, and then it started spreading where I couldn't have oat milk, nuts, chili. It just kept increasing in the list. And so in energetic eating, if I like it, but the food doesn't like me, do I just have to, which is what I do, I don't have them. But then it's restricting, I notice it's restricting my diet and it keeps increasing. So in energetic eating, how would you deal with that?
So what I have found in doing this is that when you eat with what's in alignment with your body begins to heal. And some of those things that your body was rejecting for a little while, it cleans up your gut. And then things come back in. So I've seen that with myself with gluten. For a while, I couldn't handle gluten at all. And now over time, my gut is healed. And now I can't have it all the time, but my body can now tolerate it to some degree, right? And I believe that as it continues to heal, that'll come back in even more. Same with dairy. I'm moderate on dairy. I had it totally cut out for a long time, and now I can handle small amounts of it. And I think that's growing as my gut's starting to heal. So as we clear all these things out, food intolerances are wrapped around emotion, are wrapped around beliefs, are wrapped around all kinds of those pieces. So as we clear that out, we're clearing out the energetic piece, and we're clearing out and we're healing the gut food wise, right? Nutritionally. And hopefully those things are going to start to come back in. They may not, but I've seen it happen, that it can balance back out.
Yeah. And when you talked about muscle testing for foods, is it something you'd have to do daily? Because a food might be okay one day, but not the other. And without muscle testing, you might not know whether it's okay for you or not.
So that's what I teach you how to do. And some of it's not even when we can get you into actually intuitively doing it. You don't even necessarily have to muscle test. But yeah, so you'll have the list. And when I test out the list for you, and it's retested every week. So it's updated weekly. And in my mind, and muscle testing is as good as the questions that you ask. So when I'm doing it, my intention is that these are going to be the foods that are going to be in alignment for your body for the week. Right. Okay. And so we have that there. Now, certain foods, I have found that some people can have certain foods and it matters time of day. So we start to play with that a little bit. We can ask, and those are questions that we can start to ask. Does it matter if I eat this in the morning or in the evening? Right. Because certain things, bloating and all kinds of things, I have one client that can have oats. It's beneficial for her, but oats in the morning are not a good time for her. She was noticing she was eating oats and she was eating them every morning because it was on her beneficial list. And she said, Leslie, I still feel bloated. So then that opened up the next question. Is there a better time of day? Is there a better time of day to have them? And I got a yes. Okay. So we pinpointed down. And when she flip-flopped the time of day that she ate the oats, all of a sudden, boom, the bloating went away and they were totally fine. So those are things that we learn to individually, we learn to go through and say, let's ask those questions to figure out exactly what your body wants. Because as we know, energy in our bodies fluctuates throughout the day. It's constantly changing and constantly moving. So we learning to recognize and understand and feel, where is my energy at this point and what are those patterns? And as we pick up on those patterns, that's where it comes into action.
Right. So in the course that you offer, is it like, for example, I know how to muscle test, right? So are you using, and obviously I've got the scan too. So obviously, are you using a list that you have got, and you do the muscle testing? Is
I do
it?
the muscle testing and you get a copy of the list. So you'll have a copy of your list. So what I do is I go through before we have a session and I muscle test out your whole list and then I send it to you. So that you
Right.
have what I've already gotten, but you then have a copy of it. So you can make notes on it. You can change, and then we go through and we work off of your list.
Okay.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Those are good questions. Who else has questions?
I think I might have a question, or I do have a question. I'm not sure how to ask it. So when it comes to food and it comes to your body, what it needs, testing, what I'm trying to ask is when it comes to something like complex carbohydrates, getting off of, let's say, a plan that you're already on and wanting to do something like this and understanding your foods as, let's say you wanted grapes and tuna fish. Would that be a good set together? You know what I'm saying? Having, huh? I know it does tuna fish, but I'm just thinking, or tuna fish and matzah, right? Is that a good complex carbohydrate that would work well with your body? Would you be working in depth when it comes to stuff like that?
Yes, you can check that. And I can help you check that. And then I can help you learn how to check that as well, because you're right. Sometimes combinations of things make a difference. It often does. So we can ask that if there are certain things that you like to eat combined together, that's an easy thing when you're working with me to be able to say, hey, Leslie, I want to be able to combine these things. Does this make sense for my body? And I'll muscle test it, but I'm also going to teach you how to intuitively start to tap into that. Every one of us has the intuitive ability to listen. Our bodies are giving us messages all day long. The question is, are you listening? Are any of us listening? And so the more we start to listen, and I start by helping you learn how to listen, and I start by testing it out to give you that so that you can start to feel and understand, oh, this is what it feels like when my body is in alignment, and this is what it feels like when my body isn't. That's why I did the little test run that I did for myself. I stuck to it, and then I went off of it intentionally to be able to be able to feel the difference of, oh, it became really crystal clear what happened when I was in alignment and what happened when I wasn't. And it didn't take long. I mean, it was like that. Once I was in alignment, it was real fast when I got out of it. So helping you learn to understand, okay, what's in alignment, what's not. How do I start listening, not to the thinker brain, right? So we have three brains. We have our thinker brain, we have our heart, which is our emotions, and we have our gut, our intuition, right? Our thinker brain up here has one job. That one job is to keep us alive. That's it. Our thinker brain cannot feel emotion. Our heart can only feel emotion, right? Our thinker brain wants to be in control because it wants to keep us safe. So even it's going to keep us in old patterns, because even if those old patterns don't feel so good, and some of these old diet trap things don't feel so good, but it didn't kill us. And so it's keeping us alive. If I follow this, I'll still be alive. But I don't know if I follow this stuff over here. If I listen to my intuition, it might kill me. So I'm going to override that. That's what the thinker brain is doing all day long, right? Just trying to keep us alive. So what I'm going to be teaching you to do through this process is how to quiet the mind, quiet the thinker brain, say, thank you. I hear you're trying to keep me alive, and tap in and listen to the gut. Listen to that intuition. What is it really telling you? And listen to the heart, the feelings, the emotional piece of it. What is it trying to tell you? And really, all three have an important role, right? Using the thinker brain when we need to, but also quieting that so that the other two can play their role so that we can actually get healthy. Clear up those old trapped emotions. The heart is holding on to a whole lot of stuff that it wants to let go, that the brain doesn't want to let go of, because those energies were trapped there because they kept us safe, right? And so we want to bypass that and get in and release all of that stuff and start operating with a balance between the three brains instead of the thinker brain having all the control. Is
So
that,
I got another question for you.
Yep.
When it comes to food plans and stuff like that, you've got to have some sort of basis of food plan. Because, you know, everybody's different and everybody's weight or whatever, losing or maintaining or whatever.
Yep.
When it comes to your program, how do you do that? How do you figure out how many calories or how much a person needs or not need?
so that's where that's where the functional nutrition program piece of it comes in. So, and I use functional nutrition philosophies, which are not based on any one quote unquote diet. It really looks at the whole
Functional,
body.
what does that mean?
Functional nutrition. So
Yeah.
functional nutrition is looking at the whole body, all the different foods, how the body works, and what foods your body actually needs. And again, it's different for everybody. So Amy, you may do great on a paleo kind of program,
Mhm.
where Marcia might do great on a higher carb kind of program, where Catherine might do great on a lower carb kind of program. So all of those things, when you're looking at functional nutrition, there is not just one size fits all, right? Everybody's bodies here are different. Everybody here will have a very different plan. Your list is going to be incredibly different. I see it across the board with people. I've done this with enough people now to see that there's no two lists ever look the same. So that gives us the basis of what's energetically in alignment with the body. And then we look at, for each individual person, what are your goals? Are your goals weight loss? Are your goals to just get rid of, not just, but to get rid of brain fog and to have more energy and to build muscle? Are your goals to maintain whatever it is? That's going to come into play. And that comes into play when we start doing the muscle testing. This gives you the list of the foods that are in alignment. Right. Other pieces come into, how do I use them? Right? Like I said, for me on my list, chocolate is highly beneficial. But if all I ate all day was chocolate, it would not fit the rest of my goals.
Right.
Right. So that, looking at that, and I go through that and say, okay, your body says it wants this many servings of protein in a day, and your body says it wants this many servings of vegetables in a day, and your body says it wants this many servings of fruit in a day, and this many servings of complex carbohydrates in a day. And we can muscle test all that out and look at it. And we can look at calorically from a functional nutrition piece as to how many calories your body needs based off of your height, your weight, your age, how much exercise you get, all of those different pieces. That's all important too. It's all the different components that get tied together.
And are you still talking about, when you're doing this, kind of like eating the 6 times a day plan, or is that different also depending on person?
For most people, that's a good option, but not for everybody. Again, that gets muscle tested out specifically for you.
Okay.
You know, what does your body need? Yep. All those. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Those are good questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else has questions? I can't see everybody, so I can't. So if you got them, you can just unmute and ask.
Oh, well, while somebody else is going to ask, I'll ask the question. So does this include looking at cleaning up the gut and getting a better, like, it's not about, for me, it's not about losing weight or gaining weight, but, you know, having a healthy body. And I believe it starts in the gut.
Yep.
And we talk about the gut-brain axis, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah. So does this course cover that?
Yep, absolutely. That's the key piece. Everything starts in the gut. So with this, if you're following what your body wants, it's going to help clean up your gut. And you have the AO scan, which you'll use that. Those who have the AO scan will be able to use that and be able to see those food sensitivity pieces in there. And you'll be able to actually watch how your gut starts to clean up. That's been one of the coolest things for me, watching how the inflammation markers have come down. You know, how my gut has cleaned up, how so many things that all went from red to kind of consistently green, how the parasites disappeared. A lot of the things that I was seeing as issues cleaned up as I started eating this way. So I could feel it. I could see it. I can see it in my hands. I can see it in my feet. I can feel it in my knees and in my back and all the places that I was holding all the inflammation. But I can also see it in my AO scan reports, which is super cool. So you'll be able to see that. And those who have the AO scan that'll be a part of it, that you'll be able to look at it and see oh, wow, this is changing. This is not flaring up as much. For me, as I said before, that I'm not quite as sensitive to gluten and not quite as sensitive to dairy. When I started, dairy was all red all the time. Gluten was always double reds. It's not anymore. I still don't eat too much of it because it will flare back up, but my body can definitely handle it in a different way than it could before. And it's part of that is all the different things. When you eat in alignment with your body, it allows it to heal. It gives it that opportunity to heal.
And do you use in the course or in the program, do you bring the AO scan in it at all?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So those who have the AO scan will be taught how to use it. Those who don't, I can run scans for them, but it's as we know, those of us who use it know it's best to have it and doing it ourselves all the time. But yes, so yes, it will be tied in there for sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're
I have
welcome.
a question.
Yes.
In the AO scan where it shows you the greens and the reds for the different foods.
Yep.
I know how that thing is. It can show so many various contradictory things from day to day. What happens when that scan in that moment contradicts the list?
So it might at some points, because as I said before, sometimes energy comes in and out. So there are things that if it's not good for you right then, maybe you've had too much of it, right? So things show up as reds on the AO scan when when it's not in alignment with your body in that moment. So if you have it and you look at it and you're saying, I'm looking at my list, and I'm looking down here right now, avocado. Maybe avocado is beneficial for you, but on the list it's showing double reds. Then you can start to think there's two things when it's showing double reds. One, it can be you've had too much of it, and you can think back, how many times have I had avocado in the last few days, right? Maybe I've had it a whole lot. This is my body saying lay off of it right now, right? Or it could be, I haven't had avocado in 2 weeks. My body might be asking for it. And so it's showing both. When you're seeing the reds on the AO scan, it's just that it's out of balance. So it could be that you've had too much, or it could be that you actually need it. And so those are some of the things that we start to look at. And we start to ask the question, if it's something that's showing as highly beneficial and you haven't had it in quite a while and it's showing double reds, it probably means your body needs that energy. But we can always go in and muscle test that or intuitively ask it, is this okay for me right now? Is this beneficial for me right now? And if you get that yes, then you can know, okay, my body's actually craving this.
And I remember you saying at one point when you're doing the list, you're asking, how good is this food? Like you're giving a time frame with the question.
Yep.
And how far in advance are you asking usually?
So when I do this for somebody, it's usually within 24 hours of when I'm going to meet with them. So it's sometimes it's an hour before, depending on.
No, I meant like how long is this food is good for you? Yeah.
So usually at least a week. I ask for it to be for a week, but sometimes we come in before I meet with somebody each week, I muscle test and say, is this list still valid? And if I get a no, then I go through page by page. Is this page still, because sometimes it's just one thing that needs to be tweaked. And as what I have found is in the beginning, lists get tweaked a lot. And as you go through, by the time you're 6, 7, 8 weeks in, the list is pretty stable, which has been really cool to see. So things do move around, and then, but the gut is starting to heal and things are starting to balance out. So cool. Good questions. Who else has questions?
I don't know if you want to talk about this on here or not, but can we find out how much it costs?
Yep, we're going to get to that. I think
Okay.
that's where when we're done with these questions, I was going to give you that. So since Marcia asked that, we're going to go on. And if anybody has any other questions about this that didn't get asked here, you can always feel free to reach out.
Marcia, you beat me to the question. I was just getting ready to ask that. You read my mind. Oh, by the way, real quick, when Kim was talking about the scan and the reds and everything, the other day, walnuts came up on mine as a double red. And I had realized that for the last couple of days, because I read that you should have like 3 walnuts a day. It's very good for you. So in my yogurt, I've been having walnuts. and it showed up as a double red. And it was like very interesting. That happens to me a lot. So the understanding of maybe I'm eating either too much at that point or not enough, not having it in your body is a very, I'm glad you said that, because that gives me another idea when I see my double reds, why they're coming up like that.
Exactly.
So that was very cool.
The cool thing, I'm going to pull off here really fast. The cool thing about that and everything in the AO scan is that it is information to get you to ask another question. What does this mean for me right now, right? What does this mean? Is this a trend? Am I seeing this a lot? Why is this popping up? And the more questions that you start to ask, you'll get those answers, right? You can dive into a little bit more and it'll start to make a little bit more sense. When you just look at the reds and greens, especially in the food lists in the AO scan, it can be really confusing. But when you start to look at them in groups and patterns, right, where it's, oh, wow, look at all the things that are firing up red. I see all these foods that are all histamine type foods. Maybe I need to be avoiding some histamines right now, or maybe my body needs more of those, or oxalate foods, or moldy foods, or right, fill in the blank. Those are kinds of things. So it gives you some pieces of information to then start asking better questions. How do I feel when I'm eating these kinds of foods? And that will all, you'll see that it will align with the list that you get with this list. It will all start to align and it helps it make sense a little bit more. So on to Marcia's great question about what does this cost and what are the steps? So I am launching I have both a one-on-one option and a group option of how we can come in and do this. But what I'm starting with right now is to do a first step discovery call, right? So that you're not committing tonight to one-on-one coaching or group coaching or to any kind of long-term coaching, but that it's a one-time discovery call for $197, which gives you your customized list. You get the whole list. You get an hour-long coaching session with me where we go through your list. We do an energy clearing session, and we line it all up and we come up with you for your goals. What are you looking to achieve? What do you want to achieve? What is that going to look like? And we lay it all out. And at that time, we can talk about, is one-on-one coaching where you want to go? Is group coaching where you want to go? Is it, I just want to say thank you for my list and go on and do my own thing? All of those things. So you'll have all of those opportunities at that time. So so tonight, getting started is the $197 one-time investment to get your list, to have that 1 hour coaching session with me. And if you, from that, decide to do either one-on-one coaching or join the group, that $197 is applied to those two programs, either of those programs, or however you want to move forward, that will be applied to that. So it's not that, and then you pay for another group. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Anybody else have any other questions, thoughts, comments?
Yes, so if it's 197 for the list and one-on-one session with you, what is the cost for the group coaching or the one-on-one?
Okay, so that's a good question. There's going to be a couple of different options. The group coaching is going to be $597 for an 8-week group coaching program. And then with that, you'll have 8 weeks class weekly group coaching meetings. And there will be video lessons. Everybody will get the video lessons. Everybody that's either in the group coaching or one-on-one will have the video lessons. It'll be released each week. 8 weeks worth of video lessons and 8 weeks worth of group coaching and touching in on your list. If you do one-on-one coaching and you don't want to be part of the group at all, just one-on-one, it's $997. And if you want the combination of the two, if you want to be in both the group and in the one-on-one, it's $1197. So you get the combination of all of it, which means you would get one-on-one sessions every week for the 8 weeks, and you'd be able to come into the group sessions. And there are a variety of things there's weekly clearings, and there's going to be a whole bunch of different things that'll all be laid out when you meet with me and we go through and look at the plans. I'll go through with you all the different components of what each program looks like.
So is this the right place to ask, when you come to, say, the group coaching, what is, because from the first session, you've already got your list and we've discussed different things. What more would be involved with a group coaching? You mentioned the videos and maybe some live sessions. But
So
what,
there's going so the group coaching, there's going to be weekly energetic clearing for everybody. Right? There's going to be consistent energetic clearing. There's going to be other frequencies that are not AO scan related that are going to be created and run for you, and you'll have access to. There is going to be just a coaching camaraderie where you can come in and you can ask questions and work together in a group coaching environment, clearing out those things. So some of you who have done group coaching with me and other things, we go in and we each week we will tackle a different component, we'll tackle a different piece, and we'll be clearing energies around those to help move that through. So when you walk away with this list, you'll have a list of foods to eat with from, and that'll be it. And that'll be great. That's a great start. So the other will be continuing on that true energetic piece of how am I going to clear out the old trapped emotions and the old limiting beliefs and the old thought processes, and what am I going to do when I'm triggered? So you're going to be learning those tools when a trigger comes up. Oh my, what do I do in this situation? Right? We're going to be talking through that. I'm going to be teaching the things from emotion code, from body code, from belief code, from cellular alignment, from all the other components of the things that I do. We're going to be teaching you that so that you have a toolbox full of tools to be using as you go through this.
okay.
So, and whether you choose group coaching or one-on-one coaching, you're going to get, it'll just be how it's presented to you. And some people do better with one-on-one. Some people like the camaraderie of the group. So, and with the group, once the 8 weeks is up, if you want to stay in the group, it'll be a minimal cost to be able to stay in and just continue in the weekly sessions. A month-to-month cost to be able to stay in, and all of that. I'll go through all of that when we meet one-on-one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great questions.
When would the group meet?
That will be determined probably within the next week or so.
Okay.
And depending on how many people sign up, we may have 2 different meeting times. I intend to keep the groups. I don't want the groups to be huge. I want the groups to be maximum of 8 people in a group. So we may end up with multiple groups and multiple group meeting times.
Leslie, you were
Yeah.
talking about different types of foods, like the different groups of foods. How does one understand that? Like, how do you get like acid type foods and stuff like that? Where would I find information like that?
So, well, for what foods qualify as histamines or oxalates?
Yes.
You can Google
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's some of the stuff that I'll be teaching in the course.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll all be part of the course. But if you want to go get a quick list, you can always.
Because I've heard so much about that, and it was just like, okay, and then you just brought it up, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
might as well ask.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
histamines, oxalates, nightshades, moldy foods, those are all big categories that people tend to have an issue in one or another of those things. And so they start, that's one of the things that we love in the scanner is that we can see it really clearly. And the cool thing is, though, you can also energetically, yeah, I mean, you have to know what you're looking for in the food list. But the really cool thing about this, and it's one of the things that I'll be teaching how to do it in the group, is you can align yourself to them. So your body can tolerate them better.
Cool.
So yeah, it's some of the fun things that we can actually learn to do energetically, because all of this is an energy, right? Our bodies are an energy and food is an energy. And so it's when we're putting the right foods that are energetically in alignment with our body, we're combining them together, they work really well together. When we mix them and they don't, it's like putting oil and water together, they don't mix, right? But you can clear some of those old energies. Why are they not aligning, right? God gave us all these foods, right? And so why are they not all aligning? We can energetically make some of those shifts and clear out some of those pieces that are preventing them from aligning, so that we can bring them back into our bodies. It can all be cleared. So yeah, cool.
Interesting. Can I ask, you mentioned, yes, God gave us all this food to have, but it's not, because of the chemicals and all the foods, all the things that they've now incorporated.
Yeah.
So how is that looked? Is it we're working with energetic signatures for the parasites and all the toxins in the system? We look at it.
That's why sometimes things don't align with the body, is because we have all that other stuff in there. And sometimes, right, we want to in my opinion, we want to get as close to natural foods, right? Learning to read labels, and that's some of what we're going to talk about in the classes. Really, how do you read labels? What are you looking at these labels? So some of this is going to be the energetic piece in those pieces, but it's also going to get down to tactical, practical. What are we really looking at when we look at a label? What does that mean? This is one of the things that I love to do with my kids, right? Look at the label. How many of those words on the label can you not pronounce, right? If there's more than one, put it back on the shelf if you can't pronounce the words, right? But so many of us don't, as a habit, don't look at those labels. We don't pay attention to that. And it's really important because it is those chemicals that we're putting into our body is throwing everything off energetically as well. So, getting our bodies back into that place where it can be healthy and we can remove as much of that as possible. It's, I say it all the time. It's crazy how different the labels are from when I was a kid. The same exact foods. Well, they're not the same exact foods, but when we were kids, they had, 5 ingredients on them. And now you look at it and it has 30 ingredients on it and it's labeled as the same food, but it's not. And so learning that and understanding that and really helping your body get into alignment with that. And then, so someone who's looking to lose weight, and this is not necessarily a weight loss program, but when you eat like that, your body then gets into a place where it does exactly what it needs to do. So any extra weight that needs to come off will come off. If you're trying to build muscle, your muscle will be able to build. When you're nourishing it the right way, it's going to do what it needs to. It's going to do what it's supposed to do. We were created that way to do it. We just have to give it the right pieces, the right building blocks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other last questions as we wrap up? Okay, cool. Well, if you are interested in taking your first step and having the one-on-one session with me, you can register at energeticeating.com. You guys will all get an email with this video and the link to that. It'll come out tomorrow morning. You can sign up and grab your, reserve your spot for that, and we can get you going. If you have any other questions after this, please feel free to reach out. You can shoot me an email, you can shoot me a text message, you can send me a Facebook message, ask away, ask questions. I'm here to answer them and help you start your journey, whatever that means, whatever that looks like. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will talk to you guys all soon.